Floyd Money Mayweather calls himself boxing's first billionaire, a man who's made more in the ring than anyone alive. But here's the controversy. Whispers of unpaid taxes, reckless spending, and financial cracks have followed him for years. Could the man who flaunts Bugattis, mansions, and stacks of cash actually be hiding money troubles? In this video, we unravel the truth, starting from his roots. Before Floyd Mayweather became Money Mayweather, flashing diamonds and private jets, he was a kid from Grand Rapids, Michigan, born into a boxing family but surrounded by hardship. His father, Floyd Sr., was a fighter, and so were his uncles Roger and Jeff. Boxing was in his blood, but so were the struggle. Poverty and crime shaped his childhood, and he's admitted that many nights his family didn't know where their next meal was coming from. When Floyd turned professional in 1996, his first fights brought in only a few $1,000s. Back then, every paycheck mattered. Every dollar stretched to cover training, family, and survival. But Floyd had something few fighters ever had: an unmatched combination of skill, marketability, and vision. By the time he fought Genaro Hernandez in 1998, he was already earning six-figure purses. And when he beat Diego Corrales in 2001, his earnings jumped again. Slowly, the money started to roll in. Still, in those days, he wasn't Money. He was Pretty Boy, a nickname that fit his youthful face and defensive style. The purses were good, but not yet legendary. It was discipline, hard work, and careful matchmaking that built his undefeated record and raised his paychecks step by step. But here's the thread that will haunt this story. Even as the purses climbed into millions, whispers of Floyd's lifestyle began to circulate. Stories of heavy spending, shopping sprees, and a taste for gambling started early. Could a man from Grand Rapids who fought his way into millions already be setting himself up for financial danger? Because Floyd's journey wasn't just about making money. From the very beginning, it was about how fast he spent it too. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Floyd Mayweather became known as Pretty Boy Floyd, the slick defensive genius who could make world-class fighters miss by inches. He was dazzling, undefeated, and climbing the ranks. His fights against names like Jose Luis Castillo, Arturo Gatti, and Zab Judah brought him into the spotlight, and with each victory, his paydays grew. By the time he beat Gatti in 2005, Floyd was earning over $3 million per fight, a number that made him one of the highest-paid athletes in the sport. But Floyd wasn't satisfied. He knew that true wealth in boxing didn't come just from fighting. It came from control. At this stage, however, he was still signed under Top Rank Promotions, which meant Bob Arum was taking his cut. Floyd has since said that under Top Rank, he wasn't getting the paydays he deserved. His frustration wasn't just about money, it was about ownership. This was also the era when Floyd's love for luxury began to take center stage. Cars, clothes, jewelry, the spending habits that later became infamous started here. He'd buy fleets of luxury vehicles, racks of designer clothing, and pieces of jewelry worth more than some fighters' entire careers. Fans were dazzled, but critics began asking, how sustainable is this lifestyle? Behind the shine, the seeds of controversy were planted. Floyd was already spending like a superstar, but his purses, while impressive, weren't yet at the astronomical levels that could sustain it forever. Was he burning through money faster than he was making it? The whispers only grew louder, and the controversy that would follow him for decades began here. Because to truly become Money Mayweather, Floyd had to make the riskiest decision of his career, and it would change not just his wealth, but the entire sport. By 2006, Floyd Mayweather was undefeated, respected, and wealthy by any fighter's standard. But to him, it wasn't enough. He knew that under Top Rank, he'd never hit the kind of paydays he dreamed of, so he made a bold move. He bought out his contract with Bob Arum for $750,000. It was a gamble that many thought would backfire. Instead, it became one of the smartest financial moves in boxing history. Free from Top Rank, Floyd could now call his own shots, and the first major shot he called was the 2007 showdown with Oscar de la Hoya, the golden boy of boxing. That fight changed everything. It generated over 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, the highest in boxing history at the time, and earned Floyd more than $25 million. Overnight, he went from star to superstar. It was also during this fight that Floyd's persona shifted. He stopped being Pretty Boy and became Money Mayweather, the brash, flamboyant, cash-flashing persona that defined the rest of his career. He understood that in boxing, controversy sells, and so did wealth. By flaunting his riches, he made himself impossible to ignore. But here's the paradox. While this move made him millions, it also fed the whispers that would never go away. The spending grew more outrageous, the gambling more public, the jewelry more expensive. Floyd was building an empire, but he was also fueling the very controversy we teased in the intro. Because while Floyd was becoming the richest boxer alive, critics wondered if he was also laying the foundation for the financial storm that would haunt him years later. If Floyd Mayweather's early years were about survival and steady growth, the middle of his career was about about rewriting the rules of how fighters get paid. From 2007 onward, Mayweather became the master of the mega event. The De La Hoya fight had proven that with his name at the top of the card, the public would pay. Now, every matchup became not just a fight, but a financial spectacle. Take the Canelo Alvarez fight in 2013. Floyd walked away with more than $40 million guaranteed, plus a slice of pay-per-view revenue that pushed his total near $80 million. Then came the fight of the century, Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao in 2015. This bout shattered every record, generating over $600 million in revenue, with Floyd pocketing an estimated $250 to $300 million. It was the single richest night in boxing history. And if that wasn't enough, in 2017, Floyd came out of retirement to face UFC star Conor McGregor. Many dismissed it as a circus fight, but financially, it was genius. Floyd made another $275 to $300 million in one night, proving once again that no one could sell a fight like him. By then, his career earnings had surpassed $1 billion, putting him in the same league as Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, and Cristiano Ronaldo. But while the numbers were unprecedented, so were the questions. How much of that fortune was invested wisely? How much was sitting in liquid cash? And how much was being spent as quickly as it came in? For years, the rumors of reckless spending followed Floyd. His empire looked bulletproof, but behind the headlines, critics kept asking, could even $1 billion vanish under the weight of Mayweather's lifestyle? Floyd Mayweather doesn't just spend money, he performs with it. His wealth is on display in a way few athletes dare to match. Step inside his world, and you find multiple mansions, fleets of cars, and private jets that most billionaires would envy. In Las Vegas, his primary residence is a 22,000-square-foot mansion with a private movie theater, indoor and outdoor pools, and a garage filled with luxury cars. In Los Angeles, he once owned a sprawling Beverly Hills estate worth $25 million, complete with a candy shop, wine cellar, and crystal chandeliers. Each property isn't just a home, it's a stage for the money persona. His cars tell the same story. Floyd is said to own over 50 vehicles, including multiple Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Bugattis. One garage, he's boasted, is filled entirely with white cars, another entirely black. The crown jewel, a Koenigsegg CCXR Trevita, valued at more than $4.8 million, one of only a handful ever made. And then there are the jets. Floyd reportedly owns not one but two private jets, a Gulfstream 4 and a Gulfstream 5, so he can fly his entourage separately. These purchases alone represent tens of millions, plus millions more annually in maintenance. It's dazzling, but here's the hook. Assets like these don't generate wealth, they burn it. Cars depreciate, jets guzzle money, and mansions can cost millions a year to maintain. For most people, this lifestyle would be financial suicide. For Floyd, it's part of the act. But critics keep asking, is he living like this because he can afford it forever? Or is he living like this to keep up appearances while his cash quietly dwindles? Cars and mansions may impress, but Floyd Mayweather's true addiction is the sparkle of diamonds and the thrill of the casino floor. His jewelry collection is legendary, worth tens of millions. The centerpiece? An $18 million Jacob & Company billionaire watch encrusted with 239 emerald-cut diamonds. Add in chains, rings, and diamond-encrusted everything, and Floyd's jewelry vault could rival a museum. But it doesn't stop with jewels. Floyd is also known for his love of gambling. Stories from Las Vegas casinos tell of him placing six-figure bets on NBA games, NFL playoffs, even college football. He's boasted about winning millions on single nights, and losing just as much. Some insiders claim his gambling has drained more from his fortune than he admits. Floyd dismisses the criticism, framing it as just another part of his money lifestyle. Then there are the day-to-day extravagances, shopping sprees that run into the million, carrying duffel bags of cash to buy watches, throwing stacks of $100 bills in nightclubs. Floyd himself has admitted to carrying up to $1 million in cash on him at any given time, just in case. But this is where the controversy from the intro begins to sharpen. For years, the IRS has kept Floyd in its sights. After the McGregor fight, reports surfaced that Floyd had delayed tax payments, despite making hundreds of millions. It was a shocking revelation that cast doubt on the idea that his wealth was limitless. Was the richest fighter in history living closer to the financial edge than anyone realized? Because behind the diamonds and the casinos lies the unanswered question, is Floyd's empire built on endless money, or is it an illusion propped up by image? While Floyd Mayweather's fights and flashy lifestyle dominate headlines, the real backbone of his wealth comes from something far less glamorous: ownership. Floyd didn't just want to be a boxer, he wanted to be a businessman. And when he bought himself out of Top Rank in 2006, he laid the foundation for one of the smartest financial careers in sports. At the center of this empire is Mayweather Promotions, Promotions. Unlike most fighters who sign their lives away to promoters, Floyd became his own boss. This meant that instead of receiving a fraction of the fight's revenue, he controlled the lion's share. Pay-per-view deals, ticket sales, international distribution, all of it flowed back to Mayweather Promotions. This structure is why fights like Pacquiao and McGregor didn't just make Floyd rich, they made him historically wealthy. But his business moves don't end there. Floyd has investments in real estate, with properties in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and beyond. He's been linked to commercial buildings, apartment complexes, and land that quietly generate income while his luxury cars sit in garages. Then there are the more controversial businesses. Floyd has owned strip clubs in Las Vegas, an unusual but profitable move, reportedly bringing in millions annually. He's also dabbled in merchandise, fitness ventures, and international promotion, using his name as the ultimate marketing tool. For endorsements, Floyd took a different route. While athletes like LeBron James and Cristiano Ronaldo rack up nine-figure deals, Floyd often refused them. Why? Because he believed his name was already the brand. He didn't want a sneaker deal. He wanted to sell fights where his logo and face were front and center. That strategy made him more money than endorsements ever could. Yet, despite all this, the controversy never left. Because no matter how many businesses Floyd owns, the whispers about his fortune being fragile never go away. And in Part 8, the rumors come face to face with reality. For years, Floyd Mayweather has presented himself as a billionaire, a man with limitless wealth who could never run out of money. But here's where the controversy comes into focus. The IRS, after the McGregor fight in 2017, a bout that reportedly made Floyd nearly $300 million, news broke that he had outstanding tax liabilities dating back years. Despite making more money in a single night than most athletes will see in a lifetime, Floyd had allegedly delayed tax payments until after the fight. Critics seized on this as proof that his cash flow wasn't as invincible as it looked. If the man who called himself Money needed to fight to pay taxes, how stable was his fortune really? This wasn't the only shadow. Reports surfaced that many of Floyd's assets are tied up in illiquid luxuries, cars, jewelry, and mansions that don't generate income and lose value over time. Unlike stocks, businesses, or tech investments, these assets can't be easily converted into cash when bills come due. For some analysts, that raised alarms. Was Floyd sitting on an empire of flash, but not enough foundation? Floyd, of course, dismisses all of this. He's been quick to post videos with stacks of cash, boast about his watch collection, and remind the world that he's undefeated not just in the ring, but in life. His defenders argue that he's simply playing the role of money, and that behind the persona, his wealth is stable and secure. But the truth lies somewhere in between. Floyd is undeniably one of the richest athletes in history. Yet the controversy reminds us that even billionaires can face money problems if they don't balance spending with sustainability. And in Floyd's case, the tension between image and reality is part of what keeps fans glued to his story. Because the man who made billions selling fights may have sold the world on an image too. And that's the controversy that will always follow him. When the dust settles, what do we make of Floyd Mayweather's fortune? On paper, his career earnings exceed $1.1 billion. That puts him in an elite club of athletes alongside Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and Cristiano Ronaldo. His biggest fights, De La Hoya, Pacquiao, McGregor, generated record-breaking paydays that changed the economics of boxing forever. But his legacy isn't just about the money he made, it's about the way he made it. Floyd proved that fighters could be more than athletes. They could be entrepreneurs, promoters, and brands in themselves. He taught the boxing world that control of your own career is worth more than any contract. That's why his blueprint continues to inspire fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, who now demand ownership stakes in their events. The controversy, of course, lingers. People still debate whether Floyd is truly a billionaire, whether his assets are sustainable, and whether his spending will one day catch up to him. But maybe that's part of the genius. The mystery around his wealth keeps his name in the headlines long after his last fight. Because here's the reality. Floyd Mayweather may have flaws, he may have controversies, but he's also built one of the greatest fortunes in sports history. He went from a kid in Grand Rapids with nothing to a global icon whose very nickname is synonymous with money. And that's the paradox of Floyd Mayweather's wealth. It's real, it's immense, but it's also wrapped in mystery and controversy. A fortune built not just on fights, but on the image of a man who convinced the world he could never lose, in the ring or in the bank. Because in the end, whether you love him or doubt him, Floyd Mayweather's empire will always be the richest story in boxing.